Of learning how to graph trigonometric functions. We're going to start off with the second function, which is y equals 3 plus cosine parentheses x over 2 minus pi over 4, and we're going to do one full period. Then we're going to go down, we're going to find its amplitude. Its amplitude is 1 because in front of the cosine there is 1. Our period is figured out as we did in the previous lesson. It's 2 pi over b. So it's 2 pi over 1/2 because the what's in front of the x is a 1/2. You can't see the 1, but there's actually 1 over 2. So then you multiply the other reciprocal to get rid of the fraction, and you get 4 pi. And then d in this case is 3 because it's whatever is here, and that tells us how up or down it's going to go. Sometimes it could be located in the back as plus 3. Our interval in this case is 4 pi over 4 because we figure out period divided by 4 and gives us pi. Our phase shift in this case, we're going to grab whatever's in the parenthesis, located up here, the x over the 2 minus pi over 4, and we're going to do it as a starting point and an ending point. We're going to make the first one equal to 0, the second one equal to 2 pi. And then we're going to go ahead and add pi over 4 to both sides, giving us x over 2 equals pi over 4. Get rid of the fraction and leave x by itself. We got to multiply by the reciprocal, 2 over 1. Do the same thing to the other side, giving us 2 pi over 4. We reduce that to cross off the 2, make it a 1, cross off the 4, make it a 2, making pi over 2. So our starting point is pi over 2. Same thing to the other side. We're going to add pi over 4 to the other side. We're going to be left with x over 2 equals 8 pi over 4 plus pi over 4, because we're going to add the 2 pi plus the pi over 4, giving us 9 pi over 4 equals 1 over 2x. Get rid of that fraction, leave x by itself, you multiply by the reciprocal. And you multiply the other side, giving us 18 pi over 4. We got to reduce that, dividing it by 2 on both sides, on top and bottom, giving us 9 pi over 2. X equals, that is our ending point. Then we're going to go ahead and do a chart, which is A and Y. We're going to start off with our starting point, which is pi over 2, and each time we're going to add our interval throughout the chart, and giving us 3 pi over 2, 5 pi over 2, 7 pi over 2, 9 pi over 2. We're going to add our interval, which is pi. And then this side we're going to do t, since it's cosine, we're going to start off with d plus a, d minus a, d, and d plus a. This is just a way to make it easier to figure out your y. So it gives us a 4, 3, 2, 3, and 4. Then after that, we're going to go ahead and graph. Our graph in this case is right here. Since we know that our highest point on our chart was 4, we're going to go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to do our interval, which is pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi. But then our starting point is pi over 2. So we're in between. We're going to do pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 5 pi over 2, 7 pi over 2, 9 pi over 2. And then we're going to go ahead and graph our points off that chart that we have over here. And our domain in this case is negative infinity to infinity. Our range is 2 to 4, because it ranges from 2 to 4. Our amplitude is 1, like we figured out before. Period is 4 pi. Our maximum point will be pi over 2, because our maximum point up here is at pi over 2 at the 4. So it's pi over 2 plus n times period. And our period is 4 pi, comma 4. And then our minimum point is 5 pi over 2, because our minimum is here, and it is at 5 pi over 2 going at 2. So it will be plus n times our period, which is 4 pi, comma 2. Then this just concludes our lesson for our function y equals 3 plus cosine parentheses x over 2 minus pi over 4 parentheses.